Hello, this is Igor Stenmark of MGI Research. We are at 2021 Monetize Forum conference. Our next session, Monetizing Media Content Globally, focuses on how global media companies are leveraging their content into subscription revenue streams. This is an area that has received a great deal of attention in the last 12 to 18 months, and there's perhaps a gold rush amongst owners of content, such as Disney and others, to create new direct-to-consumer digital businesses. And so for some time, we wanted to bring a Monetize conference, an actual case study in the content streaming area. And today, we are very fortunate to have with us as our guest, Mr. Jon Steinlauf, who is a senior executive of Discovery Inc. If you're not familiar with Discovery Inc., it is a leading global media entertainment company, best known for many of its brands, such as Home Garden Television or HGTV, Food Network, Travel Channel, Discovery Channel, and many, many others. Jon happens to be a very senior business executive at Discovery, where he leads several key areas, ranging from advertising, sales, revenue development, to research, marketing, branded entertainment, pricing, planning, and inventory control. Jon happens to be a recognized veteran of the media industry. He has a successful career that started at Young and Rubicam and included senior executive roles at companies such as Scripps Networks, Turner Broadcasting, and ESPN. Jon has a very broad and deep knowledge of the media entertainment industry and has been instrumental in guiding the launching of Discovery Plus streaming service. He is a graduate of Duke University. Jon, welcome to Monetize Forum 2021.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
Igor.
being here.
Thank you, Igor. My pleasure.
Thanks again. Um, so to begin, there may be some that really haven't made the connection yet between Discovery Inc. and some of your leading brands and don't know much about the company as a whole. Could you give us maybe a sense of scale and focus of the overall company?
Sure. In the United States, where we're based in New York, we are the #1 cable network group. We control more audience and more advertising revenue than any other cable network portfolio. So that's our strength here in the US. Globally, we operate in over 200 countries. We're known around the world for being a global leader in real life content, sport, local content, in language content. Uh, we produce about 8,000 hours of original programming a year. Outside the US, we own a sports network in Europe, Eurosport. We have the rights to the next 3 Olympic Games. Hopefully the next one will be in 2021 this year in Tokyo.
Hopefully it will happen.
Yeah, but we have super fans. We are a global company. We've started doing this about 25 years ago around the world. We started in the United States in 1985, and we operate 17 television networks and all of the digital extensions of those networks here. And we're excited about launching Discovery Plus this month.
That's very impressive. I think people don't understand the scale of what you guys are providing. It's pretty impressive. Um, what do you think does the future of entertainment, media entertainment, look like in 10 years? Are we all still paying for cable? Are we paying for individual streaming apps, subscribing to that? Or is it going to be a different modality? What do you think it will look like? What's in your head?
Well, answering the question from where I sit in the US, we have 85 million households right now that subscribe to some form of pay cable. But there are another 35 million homes that don't. And that's a pretty large addressable market for us, that 35 million homes. A lot of them have Netflix, a lot of them have Disney Plus, a lot of them have Amazon Prime Video, but that number's growing. So I think the question, Igor, is what does that look like in the US? Is it 85-35 today? What happens in 5-10 years? Hard to think that far out, but my opinion is what we call the big bundle of service, which is the people who spend about $100 a month and get a package of just about every channel. I think that stays. It's starting to break down somewhat as the years go by, but I think there's a value to it, and there's a particular interest among the sports fan. I think the sports fan will probably need to stay with the big bundle The affluent household will probably stay with the big bundle, and then the television aficionado
Mhm.
will stay with it for the value. So we might see it go to 60, 60, and 60 in the next 5 years, but I don't think it goes away. And then the other side of the coin, where we have so much app activity, where the streaming services are, I think that will continue to grow. We'll see more and more streaming services launch, like ours is launching. But I think at some point that needs to probably be aggregated. I don't think people want to have 12 different bills coming to their house every month from streaming services. So a company could step in there and say, we'll aggregate streaming services and do some of the billing on that.
Sounds interesting. Yeah, I mean, we're about to review our subscriptions for every streaming service I have in the household, and it's a long list to say the least. So you guys just launched Discovery Plus, which is your streaming service. What are your first impressions? How does it compare to what your expectations are?
Well, we think it's different than what is out there right now. It's a pretty crowded space, led by Netflix. Netflix has dominated the space since they pivoted from being a DVD by mail service in around 2008 or 9. They control this market, but they control it with scripted entertainment, a lot of drama, mostly scripted drama. And then the other big players in the market, Disney Plus, Amazon, Hulu, now Peacock, HBO Max, Apple TV, CBS All Access, soon to become Paramount Plus. What they all have in common is scripted entertainment. We're coming at it with real life entertainment. So we think we're a great complement because of the way we program. We have the vast majority of important television shows in the non-scripted lifestyle, real life spaces. So we're doing something that no one else is doing. We're bringing it in at great value. It's coming in at $4.99 a month with very light advertising, or $6.99 a month at no advertising. So there hasn't been a lot of resistance. We launched it. We launched it pretty smoothly. We had Verizon as our big partner. They're giving us access to their 40 million families in the US. This is a follow-up to the Verizon deal that they did with Disney in
Yes, yeah.
2020. And we have partnerships now with the major distributors, Xbox, Fire TV, Roku, Apple, Android, Samsung, Chromecast. So probably launch with more partners on the platform side, as well as having a big wireless provider to help package us. So we're watching the numbers carefully as they come in day by day to see how big of a launch this can be. But we're in for the long haul with a product that we think is very attractive.
So Discovery Plus could end up in the end being a kind of a very large direct-to-consumer subscription business. You talked a bit about what kind of differentiates you in this area, but more broadly, what is your strategy? Where do you think are where are opportunities for a service like yours for expansion, kind of building it out from the core footprint what you're starting with?
The reason why we're doing it is because we've got two things that most companies don't have. We have incredible brands. There are just a handful of great television networks that have made their way to become brands. You could say ESPN is like that. You could say MTV at one time was like that. Certainly Fox News, CNN. When you think of the great brands of television, it's a pretty small group. We happen to have more probably than anybody else because HGTV, Food Network, Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, Oprah Winfrey Network, Science Channel, Travel Channel. We program in these very clear, clean verticals with limited direct competition. And we have a business model that gave us the ability to scale the library by owning the IP. So when a production company makes a series for us, this goes back 30 plus years, when a production company delivers us 13 episodes of a series, the highest rated show right now in the company is Gold Rush on Friday nights on Discovery Channel. They deliver 18 episodes. We write them a check. We get the IP, multiply that by thousands of transactions with thousands of television series over 30 years, over 17 networks, and it's global IP. So other than Netflix and Disney, no one really has the ability to go globally with their IP the way we can. So we launched with 55,000 hours of television in areas that are differentiated. And now we can take this, we think we could take this to 400 million homes outside the United States. We're already distributing this brand, Discovery Plus, in Western Europe, in the UK. We have arrangements. We have an alliance with Sky in the UK and Western Europe, and we have an alliance with Vodafone in Europe. And we have aspirations to take this across the globe.
What about things like e-commerce or anything else that you can kind of incrementally build around this business here?
Well, we're going to make money a few different ways, Igor. The $4.99 service comes with light advertising, and the advertising will be very valuable because it's going to be unique reach. The linear cable household, the 85 million homes I talked about, that's not enough for most advertisers. They want us to take that step into the other 35 million homes, and the same principle applies around the world. So to be able to take the advertiser and offer them unique reach into these households that are mostly streaming service households, that's an attractive element. The other thing is light commercial loads. So when you're only running a 60-second break every 10 minutes, it's very different than the linear experience where you're running a 3-minute break, every 10 minutes. So that light load, that incremental reach, the safe brands, the environments that we've created, the younger audiences, the families that subscribe, that tend to watch on set-top boxes and connected devices on apps, they tend to be younger families. So all of that is important for the advertising. So we'll have a $6.99 a month service with no ads that'll generate revenue, a $4.99 service with light ads that will generate revenue, and take it global. But the other area we're looking at closely is with the amount of data we're going to have as a direct-to-consumer company. Yeah. We can feel it. This is the first month. We can already feel the perception of the company changing from being a traditional owner of media networks to becoming more of a platform company that has the ability to go out and understand, get direct data about its customers, but also dealing directly with consumers as a platform is a much different type of experience than operating through third parties.
Yeah.
And we're thinking about commerce opportunities. So we're thinking about run an ad and sell the product directly over our platform. Like we can use in the interactivity of the streaming technology to be able to tell advertisers, when you run ads with us, we're going to be in a situation where we're going to be able to create commerce opportunities off the content and off the advertising.
So essentially, so this Discovery Plus is not just trying to match, say, Disney or anybody else, but it's really kind of taking your company, transforming it from pure content to commerce plus metadata that you're going to capture as well.
Yeah, and the main competition that we see, and while we think of ourselves as being a complement, because HGTV and Food and Discovery and TLC and Animal Planet, those networks are very different than what the kind of content that runs on the competition. These other networks depend upon scripted, as I said, but they don't run a lot of ads. Disney Plus has no advertising. Amazon Prime Video has no advertising. And Netflix has no advertising, and Hulu is a hybrid model, and CBS All Access is a hybrid model. So there's a scarcity of advertising into this marketplace. So that a lot of the advertisers saying we want to get in, but we can't get in because we're prevented from it by these non-commercial platforms that control most of the audience share and streaming.
Yeah. I guess when you were conceiving this service and putting together a strategic plan, I'm sure you guys probably considered this question of whether to do it yourself, go it alone, or go with a partner. And I think in part you already addressed this question, because this proximity to a consumer, being able to capture the metadata by itself is a really valuable aspect of the overall business. But do the economics work for anyone trying to get into this business? Should they be going after it themselves, or should we be partnering? Where does this idea kind of work, and where does it break down?
Well, one of our competitors, Viacom CBS, has taken a dual approach to their library. They own Showtime, they own Paramount, they own CBS, they own MTV, and they own Comedy Central and all those cable channels. They went at it as part arms dealer and part exclusivity. a dual strategy. We want to have exclusive control over some of our content so that we can build our own streaming service. As I said, it was called CBS All Access, soon to be Paramount Plus. But they took certain content and said, if we can put it out for bid, and their number one scripted show right now is a show called Yellowstone with Kevin Costner. And that show is about 50 episodes into its history right now. And they did a deal. They decided to do a deal with Peacock. So they took one of the most precious assets and said, rather than put it on our own streaming service, we're going to license it to Comcast so they can put it on Peacock for a number of years. So the only way you can really see that on streaming is through Peacock. And the reason why they did that is they felt that they could generate more revenue by licensing than they would by putting it on their own. Now, I don't know how they feel about that decision a couple of years later, but we've dabbled in the licensing market also. Like we've done some licensing to other streaming services from our content. And we've also had experience operating what we call authenticated apps. So an authenticated app means if you have cable, for free, you can download an app from any one of our channels and get big libraries from these channels, but they're ad supported. They're fully ad supported. So that gave the company the muscle memory to be able to build a direct-to-consumer product. There's a lot of tech involved. When you think about trying to ingest 55,000 episodes of television on a single app, it's really it's our life's work. It's the history of our company. Everything we've ever done is on one single app. But we had the tech in place. We needed more, but we had the people in place that were really good at tech and marketing and understanding the customer relationships, because we had these apps that were called Discovery Go. They still exist. So we have our linear business, we have our authenticated apps, and now we have our direct-to-consumer streaming services.
Yeah. This kind of leads into my next question about, so you've had to tackle quite a few challenges here. It's a big investment, obviously, both time and money and resources and risk management. What are some of the top challenges that you guys had to contend with as you were planning it, as you were executing it and then launching it? Business, strategic, financial, operational. You mentioned tech, you mentioned people. What are some of the top things in your mind?
Well, I think one of the things that comes to mind is the timing of it. Building this entire business while everybody was remote. We have engineers working on this all over the world, but they're all remote. And all the business people, the leadership team for Discovery Plus, everything was done while we were remote. And there are challenges to that, but I think there were advantages to it also. So within 5 minutes, if we needed to get the leadership team together to discuss an issue like we did today, everybody shows up. The 20 people can show up. There's so few things that are getting in the way of getting people together. I mean, this is the new world. We're operating in this remote world that while we're all communicating over these devices, we still have very fast access to each other. And working together with people at home on the biggest launch in the history of this company was very interesting. That was one of the main challenges, but I think we've gotten through that, and we've had, as I said, a smooth launch. But the other challenges is you're looking at, in the United States, we have a $7.5 billion business in traditional cable networks between affiliate fees and advertising sales. It's across the 17 network chain. That $7.5 billion is all coming from the 85 million homes that have cable. We didn't have a product for the 35 million homes that didn't have cable. So it's weighing that balance. So how much can you really expect to cannibalize, or can you minimize the cannibalization of your existing business with your existing affiliates to step into this new world and go at it direct to consumer? And then you also have to look at companies like Roku and Fire TV and Samsung Smart TVs. Can you get them to support you, because you need that access to those large bases of customers that they control on their connected devices? And the technology is different. You have to be able to have compatible apps for a lot of different platforms. I just read the names of some of these companies. There's more. There are more companies that are working with. So it's taking a company that our business was getting people to watch television shows. 8 o'clock tonight, watch the Property Brothers. That was our business. Now our business is, yeah, in the $7.5 billion that we have to protect and grow in linear, it's still watch the Property Brothers tonight at 8 o'clock and see those ads on HGTV. But now we have to think about how do we build something new without impacting what's existed. And so I like to say what goes where. All this content we have to figure out the windowing of the content. In television, we use the word window to explain, a show launches here, sits over here for 3 or 6 months. You see how it performs, then you rest it a little bit, then you move it over here, or do you make it for this, and then you move it over here. So it's all those decisions we have to make. But we've changed from a company that cared a lot about getting people to watch. Now we're a company where we have to care a lot about getting people to buy. It's no different than when Apple and Nike, these great brands, were being sold, through other brick and mortar retailers, and they decided to go at it alone. They decided to put up their own chain of stores. There was a time when there was no Nike store and there was no Apple store.
Yeah, they wanted to build their own experience and control the whole vertical integration completely. So speaking of this new remote workplace, virtual workplace model, do you think this will persist past the point of pandemic? What do you think the future looks like?
I think we're in for a long-term work schedule that is hybrid. I think the CFOs of all these companies have looked around and said, do we really need to have people on airplanes every day, every week? We've gotten so good at Zoom technology that we're going to look really hard at how much we want people traveling in the future. Post-pandemic,
Yeah.
how much expense do you really want to put into that? I think you're going to find that business travel will probably get cut back drastically when the dust settles on this and we're back to a more normal life. We're very comfortable right now. We've had a good year. We had a good year in 2020, believe it or not. I mean, it wasn't a good year, but we performed well as a company relative to the marketplace with everybody being at home, because we were able to adapt to the new technology and work with our clients. But another thing we did while all being at home, we have the advantage of the talent that hosts all these shows do on television what they do for a living in real life. So
Right.
we could go to these chefs and designers and we could say to them, while you're sitting around at home, we'll send you some gear. Can you make some content for us? So now it's 1,000 hours later, we've made a lot of content during the pandemic while our competitors were stuck with Hollywood being shut down.
Yeah, it's a
And,
unique model that you guys have in that regard.
so that taught us that you don't have to have the 100-person crew with all the big lighting and sets, and you can do some of this content for a lot less money by utilizing some of the nimbleness we have as an organization with the kind of shows we do and the kind of talent we have, and still get the rating that you need, and be able to add audience share by putting more original programming on every night.
So in closing, is there one thing that every consumer should know about Discovery and your key brands, but we don't? What's the biggest secret about Discovery?
The secret is the passion, is programming to people who are at home right now, can't really do a lot, afraid to go back into crowds, afraid to go back into the world, but care a lot about the home. Our biggest network by far is HGTV. It started off as a niche network, that was ridiculed. How are you going to do that after the first kitchen show? Then what? And it's become probably the #1 entertainment brand in cable. And the home is evolving. The home is a place now where we need to create classrooms and gyms and theaters and offices. So to inspire people to get those ideas, they come to the network of record, HGTV, to learn about home projects and home, whether it be interior or exterior, done safely. And then the second biggest network we own by far is Food Network, and everybody wants to be better at cooking. The cooking is a life skill that was somewhat underappreciated until the pandemic, and now with restaurants being, for the most part, shut down, now people value those cooking skills, and they come to us, whether it's on television, streaming, digital, they come to us to learn more about cooking skills. So we were, while this was a terrible time that we're going through,
Yep.
this company was able to provide a lot of inspiration, ideas, and comfort during these challenging times. So it's when you work in TV, as I have for 40 years, it's nice to represent products that make a difference in people's lives, especially in trying times.
Jon, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate your tremendous insights into this market. You really illuminated the subject matter in a way that no one else can, I think. And those of you who are not familiar with Discovery Plus, please go check it out. I know I am. And thank you very much, Jon.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me very much. Appreciate it.